This video will be a tutorial for the Pallant SPSS Survival Manual homework for Chapter 9 on checking the reliability of a scale. Just to note, there will not be a tutorial for homework 10 because that homework does not require that you use SPSS. It's just working with the chapter in your Pallant text. So we're only going to be doing a tutorial for homework 9. For this homework, I've already got my survey.save data file open in SPSS. And what we're doing when we check reliabilities for a scale is to determine, using a statistic, the degree to which the items appear to be hanging together or that they're interrelated in such a way that they represent the same construct. And the measure that we use to do that is typically Cronbach's alpha. So we're going to follow the instructions that are on page 103 in your textbook for running what's called a reliability analysis. So we go to Analyze, and we select Scale, and we choose the first option, which is reliability analysis. Then you click on the individual items that you would be using to generate a scale score. So one of the things that sometimes my students in senior research find confusing is like, when you check the reliabilities, wouldn't you just want to use a total scale score, like a scale score that represents the entire the totaled value of a scale? And I explained to them, reliability analysis is about the interrelationships among the items making up a given scale. So for instance, for the optimism scale, it's made up of 6 separate items. We want to know how they are interrelated and whether or not they appear to represent, as a whole, do they represent the same construct, at least mathematically. So our first step is to get all of the items making up that scale. And if you remember that trick that I taught you earlier, if you hold down your control key on your keyboard, you can turn each of the items gray and move them over all at once with the arrow, or you can do them one at a time. So we've clicked on each of the individual items, we moved them over into the items box, and then in the model box, you want to make sure that that says alpha. In the scale box, you want to give it a label. So since we're looking at the items for the optimism scale, we can say optimism. Under the statistics button, you want to get descriptives for the item, scale, and scale if deleted. So we want item, scale, scale if item deleted. And in the inter-item section, we want to get the correlations. Because what a reliability analysis is useful when you're able to determine how intercorrelated the items are with one another. In the summary section, you also want to click on correlations. And then you're going to click on continue and follow that with OK. So what we're looking for here, if you turn your pages to page 105, it will tell you how to interpret the Cronbach's alpha value. And what you're hoping to see is a Cronbach's alpha value that's sufficiently high. And if you notice on page 105, it says values above 0.7 are considered acceptable. However, values above 0.8 are preferred. So if we round up, we've got 0.8, so we're in the acceptable range in terms of reliability for this set of items that are intended to measure optimism. This matrix shows you the degree to which these items are correlated with one another. And what you can see just by eyeballing some of these values, you have some mid-range correlations, the 2s and 3s. You have some items that are very strongly correlated with each other. That would be the 5s and 4s, and so on. So it just gives you some further information on how related they are. Now, typically in terms of reporting, so let's say you use optimism in your semester project as one of your core variables in your semester project. In your results section, you would report that the reliability analysis shows acceptable levels of reliability, and you would report the Cronbach's alpha for that variable. And then you go on to report the remainder of your data analysis for your hypotheses relating to that particular variable. So I will go ahead and do one more example for you. So we go to Analyze, Scale, Reliability. I'm going to hit the Reset button. The next one I'm asking you to do is Perceived Control of Internal States. So that's the PCs, and there are 18 items. So I'm going to hold my Control key down. So I get all 18. I'm going to hit the arrow. The scale is alpha. Scale label PCIS, the perceived control of internal states. Go over to descriptives, get the item, the scale, scale of item deleted, get the correlations again. And then I should be set in the summary section. I've got that. So I'm ready to go. Hit OK. And what we see here, again, you're looking for 7.7 is acceptable, 0.8 is better, 0.9 is perfectly acceptable. So that's the second one. I will leave you to do the self-esteem scale items on your own. Remember that you're going to want to save your output file. That's chapter 9. And again, remember that for chapter 10's homework, chapter 10 is about choosing the right statistic. You do not need to use SPSS to do that homework, so there will not be a tutorial for that chapter.